Hello everybody, welcome to our Automotive Dealership Market Research Project. In this project we have Blake Adderwald, John Duncan, Kevin Kaltschmidt, and Jessica Edwards. The primary question we were trying to answer is, where do people in Montana prefer to buy their vehicles and why? We also tried to understand where Montana residents were willing to buy, why they were willing to buy out of state, and what would motivate them to do so. We used a variety of research methods to do this. For our primary research, we distributed 146 surveys, and after our surveys were completed, we analyzed them with the SPSS data analysis program. For our secondary research, we used some syndicated research from Dominion cross-sale report. We also used information from the University of Montana database, as well as other online resources. The reason why this is important and why we're sharing it with you is because between the primary and secondary research, we were able to determine whether our respondents were a reliable source of information. We had a few questions on our survey like, what was your favorite vehicle brand? The Dominion cross-sell report numbers corresponded almost exactly with the actual car brands ranking in Montana. So for example, when we asked our respondents to choose a favorite car brand, 5 out of 6 of their top choices reflected the same top 6 of brands sold in Montana. This shows that our respondent population was at least a decent representation of Montana. Our hypothesis was, if some or all these variables, which are below, and constructs meet the customer's needs, then they will buy the vehicle that satisfies the most variables. Some of these variables include price, location, relationship with the salesman at the dealership, warranty, reliability, customer needs, service or serviceability, fit to customer personality, and fuel efficiency. In our survey, we started out with a question to determine their residency. Then we wanted to know their plans for buying a vehicle, so we asked them whether they were buying in 2 years, their preference on out-of-state purchasing, and how far they would be willing to travel in order to purchase a vehicle. Then we moved on by asking respondents their favorite brand and dealership. After that, we got into some more in-depth questions, such as their importance to price, dealership location, etc. And the last thing we did was ask what type of vehicle they last bought and ended with a household income question to determine how much they were making. Next, we're going to talk about some of our more interesting things that we found during our research. According to our research, 84.2% of those surveyed were from Montana, which was surprisingly high due to the large population of students that were respondents. Of these respondents, a large portion of those surveyed were considering buying a new or used vehicle in the next 2 years. One of the main questions of the hypothesis and survey was, how likely are you to buy a new or used vehicle out of state? According to our secondary research, buying a vehicle out of state was a viable option. Dave Smith Motors has been a contender for many years, claiming that they were the largest Dodge and Chevy dealer in the Northwest. These claims are documented in the secondary research in this study. Our research, however, provides evidence that only 6.2% of those that were surveyed would seriously consider buying a vehicle out of state, with a cumulative average of 71.9% would not consider buying out of state. To further reinforce this evidence, only 22.6% of those surveyed would drive more than 150 miles to purchase a vehicle. Another consideration was buying locally. Those respondents to the survey, 48.8% thought that buying locally was important or very important, further reinforcing the evidence that the consumers that are considering purchasing a new vehicle or used vehicle in the next 2 years would do so locally. When analyzing questions about the important factors when buying a vehicle, we were not surprised. Price was the number one decision-making process, followed by financing and vehicle service. In our multivariate analysis, we found that age played an important role in buying locally. The research data shows as age increases, buying locally becomes even more important. This is important information when targeting older age groups, but the fact that 20 to 30-year-olds that are considering purchasing a vehicle has the slope of the data was even steeper than that between the ages of 41 to 50 and above. This evidence suggests that those surveyed between the ages of 20 to 30, buying locally is becoming increasingly important. In a separate analysis, we hypothesized the higher the household income, the more likely that person was to buy out of state or travel long distances, because we assumed that since price was the number one driving factor, that's why people would drive farther. And if they had more money, then price wouldn't be as big of an issue. However, the results of the study found that there was no correlation to household income in determining how far the respondent would travel to purchase a vehicle. Another interesting point was when we were comparing the favorite brands versus price, dealer location, salesman relationship, service department, and financing availability, our results showed that every factor the participant rated moderate to high importance in each of the factors, no matter what brand they chose. This shows that price, financing, service department, etc. are all equally important factors, no matter the brand preference. Another surprising result we had was when we asked our respondents which dealership was their favorite, most wrote that they didn't have one. Out of the dealerships that actually were selected, most didn't have any significant numbers. Most were chosen 3 times or less, only a few being more than that, the most being 6. This concludes our presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and here are some references so you know that we weren't lying about everything. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day.